Hey everybody, we're here with Houston Dynamo 2 head coach Kenny Bundy ahead of this weekend's matchup against Tacoma Defiance. Kenny, I know obviously a disappointing result last weekend, but how have you seen the team responding this week?
Yeah, it's been a couple of weeks of disappointing results, but I think that the level of focus, the details that the boys have put in this week, everything is on par with what we started the season, and I think the growth of the group we've seen. Hopefully, people are seeing through these last games, even though we haven't gotten results. A lot of things that maybe we weren't doing in the beginning of the season, we're starting to develop. And now it's about that final execution piece.
If anybody has any questions, please use the raise your hand function. We'll start with Billy Mears from Dynamo Theory. Go ahead, Billy.
Hey, Coach. How's it going?
Hey, good.
After the last match, you guys said that you'd be doing some evaluation as far as the staff is concerned. Just wanted to get your thoughts on maybe what you were looking for and also how those changes were implemented, basically.
Yeah, evaluation doesn't always mean that there needs to be drastic changes. We're halfway through the season, so if we were 12-0 or we were 0-12, we would have taken this first half of the season and evaluated it the same way we did, even though we've lost the last 3 games. So specifically to that game, I said to the boys afterwards, the first person that I look at the end of the game is myself, and then I evaluate the staff. Did we do everything to put the players in the position to get the results? So there were some things that through discussion, hindsight's 20/20. So through discussion, we thought maybe we could have done, maybe we could have helped the team with, but ultimately, it's about us also improving in moments that aren't always comfortable for the players. How can we guide them in a way when maybe we think we should be 2-0 up and now we're 1-1? Are there changes that we could make? Are there different pieces of information that we can give the players? Are there different scenarios that we can train, moments in the game that we can do a better job at in training throughout the week? So when things like that happen in the game, the players are ready. A lot of little details, but no earth-shattering changes need to be made. The staff's been great, and I think everybody in this league has seen that throughout the first 12 games.
Appreciate it. And with this being a dual-purpose type league, obviously you do want to win, but you need to be creating for the first team and trying to get these guys on the right track. How difficult is it with having to change the lineup on a week-to-week basis with players coming and going?
Yeah, I mean, we knew this going in. We knew what we were going to be dealing with throughout the year. It's not easy, but it's also part of our position. And to me, it's really nice when we are actually seeing what our young players are capable of in competitive professional games. So lineup changing, players coming in, players moving up, we see those as all positives, and we see those as situations that we wanted to have. I think we're all competitive. We all want to win games. Everybody in this league, there's not a team that goes, oh, winning doesn't matter. I think when you prioritize what we're trying to do, winning is in there. It is in there. It is creating winners. And not to turn a positive spin to 3 losses, but the way it impacts the staff and the players in a way of motivation, of details, of harder working or harder work. That's what's really, it's been a happy surprise for me, because those are types of things. It could go the opposite way, where maybe heads go down, there's a loss of faith, and maybe we're not good enough. Maybe the beginning of the season was just a flash in the pan, but that hasn't been the case, and I truly don't believe that. I like I've said earlier, I think we've been fantastic the last 2 games, 2 of our best games. Did the results get there? No, but that's part of having a young group. That's part of building a group that has a winning mentality, and it's something that we all as a staff and as a team, we know we're right there. We could very easily be looking at the last 3 games and having 2 wins and a loss, or 2 wins and a draw. Like, there's so many things that we could look at. Now, you also look at the last 3 games, and it's been an opportunity for players to play. Even the St. Louis game, it's a different squad. Kansas, different squad, new players. Portland, we got Marcelo back. We got Juan. You've got Brooklyn. You're adding pieces in, but I think the great thing about evaluating the last 3 games is we know we're right there. We know we're very close, and we could very easily be having a completely different conversation today.
Appreciate it. And with Tacoma coming up, they put up a good fight last time you guys faced them. What kind of expectations do you have going in this match, or any kind of preparations you have that you've made specifically for this team?
Yeah, they're flying right now. They've got some great players. I think looking at the first game, it was the first time that a team completely shifted to what we thought. They went more direct. They didn't play out of the back as much as we had thought. They obviously brought in 2 first-team center backs. So some of our attacking tactics were nullified by the experience and quality of those players. So, evaluating their past couple games and looking at it, we almost revert back to the first scout. They've improved a lot on their attacking transition. They score a lot of goals by forcing you into mistakes and scoring within 12 seconds. So it's something to be aware of, and it's something that we have to manage during the game. It's also a game where we're in Houston, and we don't want to lose at home. But we also have to say what it is. Sunday, I looked at the weather. It says extreme heat. How often does it say extreme heat in Houston? So it's going to be hot, even at 7 o'clock. We have to have a fast start. But one of our goals is always scoring a goal in the first 20 minutes. We know those chance creations in the first 20 minutes are going to be key. Getting off to a quick start, getting an early lead, really putting them on their back foot, and hopefully, with our experience of being here, training here, and living here, we can use that home advantage to run the game. So I'm excited for it. They are so dangerous. They score some great goals. They have some great players, but this is what we want. We want to take points from teams that are above us.
Appreciate it, Coach. Last one for me. We saw Hoffman and the news on him. Is there anything you can speak on that as well?
No, Ian was unbelievable while he was with me. Obviously, we had him in games. We didn't have him in a ton of training sessions. He was with the first team, but he was such a great professional within our group. When we found out that he was going to be loaned out, he was very excited. Obviously, I spoke to the guys about it in front of him, and I wanted to show my appreciation to him in front of the group for what he's meant to this project. And I think he's a player, even though he's going on loan, I'm going to keep in contact with, and I told him I'll help him in any way. He wants to watch video. He wants to, because he's still part of this organization. And it's great to see him get an opportunity that he's excited about.
Appreciate it, Coach. Thanks for your time.
No problem.
Next, we'll move on to Drew Casey from MLSNextPro.com. Go ahead, Drew.
Hey, Coach. Thanks for the time again. When we spoke last week, Kyle Edwards was 4 or 5 days into being with you, it seemed, but from the signing. Now it's closer to 2 weeks. How has he meshed with the team, in your opinion?
Well, Kyle's trained with us for a while. He just wasn't eligible to play. He's a player that brings experience, confidence, leadership. He's got such a great personality within the group. He plays up front. He's a goal scorer. So obviously he can be a pain sometimes, because those guys, if they're not scoring goals, they're like every player. It's something that the group is built around. They know what his quality is. We haven't seen the best out of Kyle, but it's been 2 games. I think the one thing everyone has seen is how dangerous he can be and some of the chances that he's created. The toughest goal to score for any player is the first goal. That's the goal that causes the most stress. It's getting that first goal. I have all the faith in the world that as soon as Kyle gets his first goal, that's not just going to make Kyle better, but it's going to make Papa better. It's going to make Jacob better. It's going to make the back four better because he is such a threat up front.
Similarly, last week I was pretty impressed with Jacob as well. What are the strengths of his game this season that you've noticed?
Jacob can play any attacking pass or any destabilizing pass, through pass, whatever, key pass, whatever you want to call it. He can play any pass. He's also very unselfish. I think one of the things that I've talked to him about is there are moments where he can use his quality and be a bit more selfish. Again, a guy that brings different perspective to the game. He's not your typical winger. He's not the typical winger that I am used to playing. He's someone that can come inside. He can invert a little bit. He can almost play as another 10. You've seen we played him as in the midfield as well. But his game as well, coming out of college, it needed some time. And, we can say it's only been, we can say it's halfway through the season, but 12 games, some of these guys aren't used to playing a season that's longer than 3.5 months coming out of college. So there's a grind part of it too. And it's finding themselves in a season that's a little bit longer. And what we've seen with Jacob and we've been extremely happy with is he's just gotten better and better. He's a player that's very, very hard to even consider not putting on the field. So he's exciting. Plus, he's got an unbelievable relationship with the other two up front, Kyle and Papa. He really connects with those guys and he wants to see them succeed. So having the type of player that can not only play those passes, but wants those players to succeed around him, he can be very dangerous.
Thanks, Coach. I have one last one, changing gears a little bit from last week in the Timbers match. I think it was the first 7, 8, maybe even 9 shots that Portland had were blocked by you guys. Part of that maybe was the area of where those shots came from, but there was one sequence in 9 or 10 seconds where you blocked 4 in a row. I'm just curious how much blocking shots for your back line, your defensive midfielders, those type of players, how much is that vocalized, or was that just a case of the sequence dictated what happened?
So not to get into the weeds, but when we look at our game model and we look at our attacking and defending principles, there's a principle in there that's called protecting the goal. And part of protecting the goal is your body orientation when the ball is in a wide area. Part of it is your individual defending. And then part of it is how you block shots and crosses. So to me, I always speak to the guys, and you can see this now. It's taken a little bit of time, but I think the guys should celebrate blocked shots, especially that sequence. They should celebrate that sometimes we celebrate a goal. I think that's one of the most underrated things in the game. You don't realize how important that is until someone doesn't do it, right? I think until someone doesn't do it, you don't understand what a sequence like that does for a team. And after that sequence, you could feel the momentum shift in our direction. And it's partly because of the sequence of play, but it's also partly the reaction the players had from that. But it is something that is vocalized all the time. It's something that's praised. When we did our reflection of that game, it could be very easy to say, okay, that's great. We could do this better. That to me, that was one of the first clips. It was one of the first defending clips that we went through because I like to show them the expectation and how they execute that. And what a moment that was for the group. That is what makes the playoffs. That is what wins games, are moments like that, the gritty stuff, the stuff that really, it does take skill, but it takes heart and it takes a real focus to protect your goalkeeper. So very proud of the guys for that. And hopefully on a weekly basis, we're seeing moments like that.
Thank you, Coach.
No problem.
Next, we'll go to Manuel Olivares from Area Sports Network. Go ahead, Manuel.
Hey, Coach, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good. Knowing the news with Hoffman going to a USL championship team, can you describe the difference of level of play from MLS Pro to a USL championship league?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, it's all specific to the team and the organization, right? It's how people want to build their teams and what their end goals are for those teams. Orange County is interesting, right? We've seen this year them sell a player to Europe and significantly make some money off that. That's something that is in their model. the level of teams, we played a lot of USL teams in preseason. We played Tulsa, we played San Antonio. I think the one thing I will probably say is a distinct difference is there are a lot of ex-MLS players that maybe are a little further along in their career that are in the USL. So there's a little bit more experience in certain groups. Depending on who we have on a weekly basis, that experience level, it fluctuates. The other thing is, the USL, they've got their guys. One of my best friends in this world is Mark Briggs, and he coaches at Sacramento. We talk on a weekly basis. They just beat LA Galaxy in the Open Cup. He's built a group that has a real emphasis on experienced players in their prime for that level, and he sprinkles in youth players. When we talk, I'm a little bit opposite, where we have some experienced guys, but are they in their prime, or are they reaching their prime? And then we've got really young guys. We've been going through over the last 12 games, and we've got a report on it, on what our average age is each game. And then of that average age, how does it reflect against the other team? And then on top of that, what does the average age of the players coming off the bench look for us? And if you look at the players that are coming onto the field from us, they are extremely young. You're talking 16, 17, 18, 19 years old. That those are the guys coming off the bench to win games. So there is some differences, and obviously a lot of that has to do with experiences. But every club is different, and I think this opportunity for Ian, it's something that what makes me happy is he's excited. That's what really makes me happy, that he sees this as a great opportunity.
Yeah, and we hope for the same as well. And my last question, it will be, how is the group's mentality? Coming, the beginning of the season, they're like the top dogs to beat. After these 3 losses, does it release the pressure going in that we have something to prove, or going in as in regular any other game?
My job is to stay even keel when we win games and when we lose games. And that's a very hard thing to do, because I want to win. I want the players to win. I want us to feel what you feel when you win a game. But I think the only thing that can help us through these, because looking back, you have to look back and you have to evaluate, but you also can't lose focus looking back of the moment that you're in right now. And the message this week to the boys was a couple of things. Number one, I talked to them about, there's a quote that I like, and it says, we suffer more in our imagination than we do in reality. So I talked to them about how in their mind, they can work themselves up on self-doubt. They can think maybe, they should have done this, they should have done this. And that can eat away at the moment they're in right now. So every day you show up, you do need to reflect on what's happened, but you have to understand you can't go back and change it. You can only get better today. We also can't look to the future and say, okay, we want to go on another 5-game run. We need to take each game by itself and make sure that we're doing everything we can to get a result in that game. But this is a huge part of development. It's unheard of that a team goes 5-0 in the beginning of the season. But I said this even when we were 5-0. People are figuring themselves out. Teams and organizations are figuring out how they're going to utilize MLS Next Pro, what players they're going to put in it. How are they going to train their teams? All these different things. And what we've seen is teams have started to figure themselves out. If we had got out those first 5 games and we had been 3-2, 4-1, maybe a draw or 2 in there, I think some of those games we look back and we go, maybe the ball bounced for us that game, right? And I remember after the 3rd game, we kept a clean sheet. It was 3 clean sheets in a row and 3 wins. And that was a big topic. But Xavier had made a penalty save that was outrageous. We had missed the penalty prior to that. So those were momentum changers, and those were things that were happening for us. Every season has a moment where it dips and things don't bounce your way. Kansas and Portland were 2 games where I thought we played unbelievably. I thought we did everything we needed to do to get results except execute that final piece. So it's a learning tool for me to be able to go and train more of those things, but also have those guys understand how much focus needs to go into that. So it's important that the pressure is always on every game. We want to win every game. So it doesn't matter, if we've won 3 or, lost 5. It doesn't matter what happens. It's about trying to get that result every weekend.
I appreciate it, Coach. Good luck on Sunday, and hope you don't wear a suit on Sunday on the field.
Hey, I had to go shopping, man. I had to go get some polos. Tell you what, those sweaters in the beginning were fine. And funny story, we're in Portland. It's 50 degrees cooler in Portland than it is in Houston. I turn around, I look at the bench, and the camera doesn't get it. And Dan Roberts, my assistant coach, he's got the big puffy coat on, like the winter coat on. He was that cold. And it's the middle of summer. And I'm like, Dan, it's not that cold. But he was freezing. So now it'll be good. It'll be good. Nice Houston weather.
I think
All right.
that's the places any to end things. Thanks so much for your time, Coach.
Yeah,
Bundy.
thank you
Really
guys.
appreciate it.
Thank you again.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for hopping on today.